Bugha won the first World Cup and $3 million 3 years ago, but let's take a look at the many ups and downs since then and how Bugha has defined himself as a legend in Fortnite. Shortly after the World Cup, Epic Games announced the Season X Trio FNCS. Bugha decided to play with Stretch and Clarity G. As the qualifiers went by, this trio was dominant, qualifying to Heats in the first week and being the most consistent team throughout the qualifiers. And when Heats came around, Bugha, Stretch, and Clarity continued to dominate, winning this Heat with an average placement of just 3.83. Unfortunately, when it came to the grand finals, his team couldn't come out on top, placing a measly 26th. As this chapter is coming to an end, it did look good for Bugha, with him winning the final Cash Cup in Chapter 1, but all good things must come to an end in order for new things to come, and that is what we saw. As squads of the new chapter were announced, Bugha needed to find a squad, and he ended up going with his old trio mates of Stretch and Clarity G, as well as adding Dwifo into the team. This squad started off the season hot, coming in 4th in the first week of the FNCS, qualifying them straight to Heats. This team continued to do well throughout the qualifiers, placing 12th, 5th, and 18th in the next 3 weeks. Going into Heats, Bugha was looking good and backed it up with a dominant Heat win, but could Bugha perform in an FNCS Grand Final? Unfortunately, this season wouldn't be it, with Bugha placing only 21st out of 24 teams. Although the past 2 seasons have been strong for Bugha, he hasn't been able to pull out an even decent Grand Finals performance. With the announcement of a duo FNCS in Season 2, Bugha once again had to find a teammate, but this time it was much easier as he teamed up with his trio and squad mate Stretch. This duo landed at Lazy Lake and came 3rd on Day 2 of the Winter Royale. Going into the FNCS qualifications, Bugha and Stretch were looking solid and backed it up with a strong 16th place in Qualifier 1. Throughout the rest of the weeks, Bugha and Stretch did well, placing 54th, 7th, and 46th, and Stretch and Bugha easily qualified for Heats. In their heat, they dominated, coming 2nd place and quickly qualifying themselves into the Grand Finals. When Grand Finals came around, Bugha and Stretch were ready to dominate.
Get up, you get up. You grab her. On me? My bot. Let's fucking go, Stretch!
After this performance, Bugha and Stretch ended up in 5th, and although an FNCS title still eluded Bugha, this was still a massive improvement from the previous seasons, and with solos, Bugha's bread and butter up next, he could really start to shine. Bugha came 2nd in Week 2, 10th in Week 3, and 13th in Week 4, easily qualifying himself into the FNCS Heats. From Heats, Bugha quickly made the finals and dominated the finals, coming 4th, winning $25,000 in the process. Trios was the next game mode, and Bugha was looking to place in a large team mode for the first time, and to do that, he picked up 2 new players, Jamper and Avery. The strongest thing this team had going for themselves was an uncontested Stark Industries. This POI was one of the strongest we have ever seen in the 5 years that Fortnite has been around, and Bugha capitalized on this loot, winning his heat and placing 3rd in the Grand Finals. Bugha wasn't happy enough with this FNCS placement though, and at this point, nothing but the FNCS title would be enough, and his next attempt at an FNCS title would be in Season 5, where he played with Clix and Bizzle. This team did well, winning their heat, but came up short in Grand Finals, only placing 5th. Unfortunately for the next season, Bugha would have his worst FNCS by far, as he, Clix, and Bizzle were contested by Gabe Talkie and Sprite, who dominated Clix, Bugha, and Bizzle in the heats, and as a result, Clix, Bugha, and Bizzle came 32nd out of 33 teams in their heat, failing to even make Grand Finals or even the reboot round. But this poor FNCS performance ended up being a blessing in disguise for Bugha, as from here, his performances only went up. Starting in Season 7 with Avery and Nosh, Bugha made it back to the Grand Finals and came with a respectable 8th place, but this still wasn't good enough for Bugha, and Bugha started to look for new teammates and found Miro and Muzz. Muzz is an Australian player who came to America with Speedy and Looter to compete in the FNCS, but this trio failed in North America, so Muzz, the star of this OCE trio, was a great fit to play with Bugha. For Miro, he didn't have the legacy that Bugha had, but his 2 FNCS wins with Reverse and Day put him in a great position to dominate alongside Bugha and Muzz. In the first Trio Cash Cup that this team played, they came 7th, and in the first week of the FNCS, Bugha, Muzz, and Miro came 5th, auto-qualifying them to the Grand Finals. In the Grand Finals, this team dominated the Grands with an average placement of just 8.5 and over 5 average eliminations per game. And Bugha and his whole team were extremely happy.
Let's go! Let's fucking go!
There's a saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But Bugha decided to ignore this and replace it with, if it's not perfect, then fix it. And that's what he did, dropping Muzz for the Grand Royale and picking up Dukes. And even with this trio change, Bugha, Miro, and Dukes were able to win the FNCS again, solidifying Bugha and Miro as back-to-back FNCS champions. But their reign wouldn't stop here, as duo FNCS and a new chapter were announced, and Bugha and Miro decided to duo. Landing and dominating at Chonkers Speedway, Bugha and Miro have won the first duo FNCS and came 3rd in the FNCS afterwards. They have been by far the most dominant duo of Chapter 3, winning 3 consecutive FNCSs, and it has been amazing to watch as Bugha has gone on a long journey with many ups and downs throughout his career, and it is amazing that despite winning the largest esport event of all time, Bugha continues to redefine his legacy as a perennial winner and a legend of Fortnite.